Do the flag. Say something. And to the power which within one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
don't know. Thank you everyone for attending. Apologize for the year-end meeting that really didn't happen because we do not have all of our bills in yet. Before we get started, I just wanted to do a quick recusal check with the rest of my board. Is there anything on the agenda that any of the town board members feel the need to recuse themselves from discussing? Hearing nothing, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes of the December special meeting and December regular meeting.
I make a motion.
Is Amy on? Okay, cool. And Amy is also joining us via Zoom, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Okay. So I just want to move on to, we have a recognition tonight. And Jim MacArthur, can you come up to the microphone, please? Oh. Mr. MacArthur. That's you. I just wanted to take a minute to thank Jim for the 2 years that he served on the board as the supervisor, but also thank him for a lot of the stuff that he does for the community, especially the veterans that he's very passionate about. And so I'm going to read from here. This is for you. This is resolution number 8 of 2026. It's a resolution of appreciation honoring James MacArthur. Whereas James MacArthur started his position as the Town of Ancrum supervisor on January 1st, 2024, and served the citizens of Ancrum for 2 years. And whereas has served the residents of the Town of Ancrum by executing his duties as supervisor. And whereas, as the town supervisor, James was a steward of both the town's interests, both locally and within Columbia County. And whereas Jim worked with the Columbia County Board of Supervisors, serving on various committees and work groups, be it resolved that the town board of the residents of the Town of Ancrum express their appreciation to James MacArthur for his hard work, dedication, enthusiasm, and wishes James all the best in his endeavors. There for you too. Thanks. Chair. I know, sorry, Monica. I've got papers everywhere and just sat in the wrong chair. Okay, so can I have a motion to accept the resolution?
Make the motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
We got one.
Oh, she did. Okay. Okay, I didn't hear her. So all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. So last month I had reported to you that I had actually submitted an ethics, we'll call it an investigation. It's really not that, just an ethics opinion on deputy supervisor and how we need to handle that, because 3 of us are related and 2 of us are part of the same nuclear family. And so the ethics board has met and offered a resolution or some suggestions for the town board. And Jack Lindsay is here to actually give a report about those findings. If anyone's interested in the information from that report, it is on file with Monica, so you can foil it. So, but Jack, come on up.
Thank you. So This was discussed briefly at the last town board meeting when Colleen disclosed that she had sent us a consideration request for the ethics board. We met this past week and wonderfully came up with a consensus between the 6 members that were there. I want to just give you a few little prefaces to how the ethics board works as a reminder for some of you that might not be familiar with it. We're a body of 5 members and 1 alternate presently. We're required by our charter to be as equally distributed as we can across political lines and gender. Currently, we have 3 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and 1 independent. And given these days, I think it's remarkable that we came up with a consensus between us. So with that having been said, I just want to reiterate that when we get requests for consideration about an issue, it often isn't the case that someone is accusing someone of doing wrong. It's really just asking our opinion to clarify a situation in order to maintain the town's good ethical behavior, the constant confidence of the public and our leaders, and also to protect our leaders against charges of malfeasance or conflicts of interest. So with that in mind, this request fit that earlier description. Colleen really just asked for clarification, given the close relationships on the town board, how she might go about appointing a deputy supervisor within the confines and maintaining no conflicts of interest, no improprieties, that sort of thing. So what I thought I'd do just for expediency is to read to you our ruling and when it came about that ruling. Section 2B, C, D, and E of the ethics law charges us as the ethics board to not only answer immediate questions, but to try to put out suggestions of wider things that might help correct any public perception that there's bad things going on. And then also to put out wider suggestions for the board so that they can avoid those same situations. All right, so with all of that in mind, I'm going to just read our report to you. This is the findings and recommendations pertaining to the request for consideration submitted by Colleen Lutz. And the date of our coming up with consensus was January 6th. A request for consideration form submitted by Colleen Lutz was received by Jack Lindsay, Chair of the Ethics Board for the Town of Ankrum on December 30th, 2025. The question posed in the request was a procedural question concerning potential conflicts of interest based upon familial ties with the newly elected town board as configured by the 2025 election cycle, and did not allege or accuse anyone named in the request of any wrongdoing. As configured in the recent election, Ankrum's town board presently consists of 3 town board members and the newly elected town supervisor, Colleen Lutz. Jennifer Boyce, a newly elected town board member, is the wife of David Boyce, a sitting town board member. Jennifer Boyce is also the sister-in-law of the former town board member and newly elected town supervisor, Colleen Lutz. Until a 5th member of the town board can be identified and appointed, this leaves the current town board with 4 members, 3 of which are closely related, and 2 of which are from the same nuclear family, immediate family. In addition, all 3 of these current town board members with close familial ties are either employed by, volunteered for the Ankrum Fire Company and or the fire district. The official website for Ankrum Township states, the town board of the town of Ankrum is the legislative and governing body for the town. The town board consists of 5 members, which includes a town supervisor and 4 councilmen. In her request for consideration, Colleen Lutz requests an opinion on whether her appointment of David Boyce to the position of deputy supervisor would constitute a violation of local law 4, 2011, the ethics law, given that Mr. Boyce is her brother-in-law. He also voices a concern and asks whether such an appointment of a relative might cause the appearance of impropriety and violate our ethics law. So the procedures we undertook were as follows. A phone conversation was conducted by me with Colleen Lutz to clarify her questions and the information on her request form. Copies of the request for consideration were distributed to the members of the Ethics Board for the Town of Ankrum, and a meeting was held of its members on January 6, 2026 at Town Hall to discuss the issues involved. After this meeting, the chair again met with Colleen Lutz on January 10th in her office at Town Hall to discuss the findings and suggestions resulting from the meeting of the ethics boards and its discussions of her request. Following this meeting, a draft of this opinion was distributed by the chair to the members of the Board of Ethics for the Town of Ankrum and was thus unanimously adopted. The ruling that we found was this. By the town supervisor appointing her brother-in-law as deputy supervisor, this appointment could be seen in conflict and violation of the ethics law under Section 3 under the definition of quote unquote relatives. However, as a result of the recent municipal elections, and because 3 of our sitting 4 town board members share close family ties, many appointments and or votes under this elected configuration may face similar concerns and charges of conflicts of interest from constituents. Therefore, we believe that the following recommendations, if enacted by the board, will help promote public confidence in your governance. Number 1, recommended remedies and suggestions. Given the close familial relationships held between 3 of the 4 current town board members, the possibility of perception of inherent unfair influence or decision-making resulting from these relationships and or the appearance or perception of conflicts of interest will likely pervade much of the electorate's impressions and concerns. The town board should take active and decisive steps to reassure its constituents that they are aware of these concerns. We urge you to make every attempt to lessen these concerns by working transparently, by proactively disclosing any potential conflicts of interest that might be perceived by the constituents to exist, and to work together to reach across divisions to govern and legislate outcomes that best serve the town. One of the best first steps the town board can take to lessen these concerns, promote public confidence, and build a better functioning governing process is to appoint a 5th town board member. This board member should not have any familial ties to the present sitting board members. Note, in instances like the present one, where an election has recently taken place, the pattern followed in a number of other communities has been to respect voters' wishes and appoint the next unelected candidate who received the most votes in that election. We also recommend that the appointment of the 5th town board member occur at the same time as the appointment of the deputy town supervisor to help assure the electorate of transparency, fairness, and your common efforts to fairly govern within this configuration of close familial relationships. Appointing one without the other could, in the minds of the ethics board members, help avert a crisis of confidence. Number 2, in order to facilitate a working governing process that is not continually subject to ethics investigations, we propose working together with the town board to develop a waiver process. We've done this before in the past to help instill wider confidence from the public. This could include wider disclosure of individual board members' deliberation process towards a vote, before the vote, and increased transparency. Perhaps a second layer of the town's recusal check, which occurs at the beginning of each meeting, could include a second layer of pledge signed by each board member that states, and this is, again, is just suggested language, I, with the name, as town board member, pledge that I have not configured my vote based upon any familial connect, nor have I colluded or prearranged my vote with any other member of the town board with whom I am related to facilitate the legislative outcome influenced by common familial interests. Number 3, in that the 3 board members who share close familial ties also serve as employees or volunteers of the Ankrum Fire Company or Fire District, we urge the town board to come up with a conflict-free process for legislating on issues related to the fire company. This finding of the ethics board to the town of Ankrum submitted and presented to the town supervisor and town members on January 15th, 2026. So that's what we came up with. And again, the goal that we have is to prevent the emergence of the occurrence of bad behavior. You know, again, we're not charging that this configuration of close familial ties will be a problem. It's just that if you have 3 of 4 or 3 of 5 members of a town board from the same family, it naturally creates suspicion. So we're trying to protect you all from that. We're hoping that you will work with us if this isn't acceptable, or if you have counter ideas, or you just want to flush it, that you'll work with us to come up with something that will reassure the public. And then finally, I just want to say that this potentially has the problem to become a point of great division within the community if we don't handle it correctly. I would urge all of you to put your party affiliations aside and do basically just simply what's best for the town. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Does anyone on the town board have any comments they want to make?
I would like to at least make one comment. There was a lot of discussion there about the fire company. Number one, nobody's employed. We're all volunteers. Number two, James MacArthur is a 35-year member of the fire company. For quite a few years now, we've had 3 members of the board that are members of the fire company. I don't think being involved in a volunteer organization where you go out and help your neighbors and do what's best for the community is a bad thing and should be construed as something that's going to make us vote improperly for the town. Well, okay, that's fine. I'm just stating my position that I don't believe being a volunteer fireman, it means you're interested in the community and you want to do what's best for the community and be involved in what's good for us. And that's what I'm trying to say.
I completely agree with that.
Because I can tell you right now, if my pager goes off, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to stay here. So
Jack, hold on one second. Let me get everyone's, and then I'm going to let you go ahead.
and I just wanted to say that I don't, just because we're all part of the fire company, we all have different opinions. We have different wants, different thoughts. And if you haven't been listening to the last couple of years worth of town boards, Colleen and I haven't agreed on a whole lot of things. So I think you're kind of misconstruing this whole thing. And it is the way it is. I respect everybody's opinion. I think that, and I've said multiple times that I think the best thing in the world is the fact that everybody does have different opinions. And we allow that in this country as opposed to other places. And that's my opinion.
Absolutely. Thanks, David.
I did go to, thanks. I did go to training yesterday and I actually talked to, the New York, was it New York AOT? And I actually went up and said, hey, listen, I have to ask you a few questions. I have 3 of us that are on the fire company. And she said, yeah. And I said, yeah. And we might meet for a holiday dinner. So what goes on then? Like, do we have to not meet? And she goes, no, we're not trying to interrupt your family life. She said, there's just, you're not allowed to discuss anything for the board. We only get together Thanksgiving, maybe a birthday. I don't know.
Lots of other things,
Except
but
personal matter,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's about it. But I did question that. I questioned meals. I questioned being on the fire company, and she reassured me that there was no problem with that because I was a little. I wanted to make certain. So.
thanks, Jen. I guess I'll add in, I thank you to the ethics board for thoroughly looking at this. I am very strongly in favor of a fifth board member, just to, that isn't related to us, to actually make sure that as many ideas are represented for the community. And we certainly don't agree on everything all the time. So that I would not expect us to ever have some sort of unethical behavior. But I think it's really important to do this to make sure that we try to think of things ahead of time and really be as transparent to you as the public. So that's really why we did that. So, public comment, before we get into public comment. Oh, Amy, hey, there you
Yeah, here I am.
go. If you-
Yeah, no, my only comment is I would like to also thank Jack and the Board of Ethics for their careful evaluation of the situation. I think that the recommendations they're making are quite reasonable. And I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Amy. Before we go ahead and do start the public comment, you'll notice that there's a lot more public comment spaces in our agenda than normally. I'm trying to kind of chunk it up into pieces so that you can comment on things kind of when they happen, to make it a little easier, so you don't have to hold your thought until the end of the meeting to comment. There's in the packet, which you probably, if you have one, there's something that's called Ankrum meeting rules. This is no different than what we did, I think, in 2024 and 2025. They're just kind of reminders of how our meetings work and what we expect from public comment and what you would expect from us. It basically boils down to being respectful to one another and addressing the board when you're making public comments, not talking amongst each other, because it's got to be a nightmare for Monica to try to figure out what everyone's saying. And she does really try to put what you have taken the time to make a comment about in the record. So if you want to take a look at that, that's fine. And I also wanted to address a couple of things that have happened within the past few days where we've had some people coming into the town hall and being, quite frankly, really disrespectful to some of the town hall employees and elected officials. And while we do expect that, we're going to get yelled at a lot, we know that. But I think this went a lot further than that. And so we won't tolerate it, for one. And there's no need for it. We can all disagree about things, but we don't need to be nasty. And we just are not going to tolerate that. So I just want to put that out there, make a statement about that. And Monica, do you want to add anything? Because she's here the most out of all of us. So
I'm here a lot alone. When people come in and are just off the rails, a lot of times it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with another office. I've been here a very long time. I try to treat everybody who comes into my office, no matter your political affiliation, who you are, your status in town, I try to treat you with respect and courtesy. And I don't feel like it's too much to ask to have that given to me as well. A couple of things have gone beyond that where I actually was scared. And I get people, you have a right to voice your opinion, but I'm a human being too. And it does not feel nice. And I do not like having to hit my panic button. So, just, I know it's, and just so you know, it's none of you. But it is scary. I'm here a lot on my own. And, although today, my mother and mother-in-law are here in the audience. And if you come mess with me, they said that they're going to come out here and sit with me. And trust me, I've been at the other end of my mother's discipline. It's not pretty.
thanks, Monica. So with that being said, does anyone have any public comments or questions perhaps for Jack? But you address the board, but before we move on to the next things on the agenda. Anyone online? Nope. Okay. So, oh, yes, come on up to the microphone, please.
Proudman, I live in Boston Corner. And I just want to say I really appreciate that you brought that issue to the ethics board and for transparency and clarification. And I really feel very strongly that there should be a fifth member of the board. And I think it's very risky to have 4 members in terms of, you know, resolving issues and quorum. And I would really encourage you to follow their recommendations, and especially, you know, to have the, or is it a deputy supervisor appointed, and especially a 5th member.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so the next item is the discussion about the vacancy appointment. So given what we've read through the ethics law and through our ethics review, we do have one person that I know is willing to serve in my unexpired term, so it would be for a year. But recently, we found out that someone else might also be willing to do this. I would open it up to suggestions from my town board, other town board members of you know, ideas of people that you feel would be the best choice to put as our 5th board member.
I don't, right
Um, right now, Colleen, I don't even have those names or those people. So I really, for me right now, I have no idea. I can't say yes or no on that until I know maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
So I think maybe that's the first step.
Mhm.
I'm still comfortable with, as I mentioned to the last meeting, I'm still comfortable with having 2-on-2. Only reason being is it will make us have to work together. We're going to have, if it's truly good for Ankrum, we will come to an agreement. And so, but I don't even know these other people. I know you'd mentioned 1 or 2, but I didn't, I don't think that ever materialized.
Okay.
So that's where I am right now.
Okay. David, do you have any?
I've talked with Colleen about our town board and about our makeup and everything. I believe it's an extremely hard position for the town board to appoint someone, because quite honestly, if you look at our last elections, for multiple elections, the town board members are, you know, you're only 5 to 6 votes apart for over 600 to 700 votes. We're so evenly divided. It's pretty incredible. So anything we do is going to make 50% of the people pissed off with what we've done. So, you know, I look at it a lot like the fact that if we're going to do anything on the board with 4 of us, we're going to have to agree and make sure that it's in the best interest of Ankrum. I have been leaning towards not appointing someone to the town board all along, because I just don't know where we would go. I've had, you know, everybody talks about they've had people, you know, ask them questions and everything. I saw the thing that the ethics board put out that said that you should have the next highest vote getter put in. I know I've got people in the crowd that said, oh, well, the person that you appoint should be a Republican because Colleen was a Republican when she got elected. I've heard many different things. I talked with Art Basson about it, and Art did not believe we should appoint anyone. We should leave it open to the town to vote on. He did that multiple times when he was town supervisor. So there's multiple options out there, multiple thoughts. Colleen expressed an interest to me tonight about a new person that I had not heard before tonight. And I don't know how we go about things with just throwing a name out there, and do we act on it instantly, or what do we do? And I don't know if you want to go ahead and advance that more, Colleen, or not. I'll let you go with your thoughts on that.
Sure. So, yes. My thought on that would be that if we scheduled a special meeting to actually focus just on that and have people that perhaps wanted to interview a little bit more, so we could ask them questions of whether they really wanted to do this, and we could choose someone that way that we were comfortable with. That might be a way to go about doing this. And so that, people, the public can view this and be there to see what what people are thinking. I hate putting it off, but the thing is we only have 45 days to make the decision. So, and then after that point, we cannot choose again. It would have to go until the next election. Amy, do you have something?
Yeah, may I speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it clear at last month's meeting that I really do feel that we need a 5-person board. It's in the bylaws. It's what the town deserves. And I feel that as this is just a 1-year appointment, and because of her past service on the board and the confidence that the voting public demonstrated in the November election, we should appoint Bonnie back to the seat. She's familiar with the town business. There's not going to be any learning curve. And as far as our agreeing and having better communication, I don't think that a 4-person versus a 5-person grouping is going to give us any greater communication. I'm sorry, Jen. I think that the matters before the board are business matters, and we will see to the business of the town.
Thanks, Amy. So, I mean, we could vote on that if she was making a motion, or if you feel that it's much more beneficial to you to actually interview someone specifically, if you think that's a better choice, I'm happy to either one.
It would need to be seconded if we're going to vote on it.
Right, exactly. It would need.
And I will not do that.
At this time, I don't think I would accept that, just because the way working with the elections a little bit and seeing that the way it was put out to the public is it was put out that 2 people would be taking the seat. And I think it kind of doesn't follow that rule. I think if it said, okay, if we knew that and said that, okay, possibly 3 would be taking the seat, I could okay that. But just the way it was presented, I don't think I can do that.
Okay.
No.
I would second it. But let's do a roll call vote. Ready? I second. Yes.
No.
Councilwoman Gold,
Yes,
Okay, so we have a tie vote, so it does not carry. So our next step is to schedule a special meeting. So that's what we should,
So I looked at the calendar and
Why don't you just make the proposal you made to me earlier,
well,
instead of scheduling a special meeting?
I feel kind of bad putting this individual on the spot, but he is here. We do have someone that is willing to potentially to actually fill that term. He did not run on this election, but he might be willing to do this. Louis, do you want to come up and say anything, or? I know it's weird, I know, but
I would be willing to step up if the board goes that route.
okay.
I said that, when I sat up here and I was talking about it, I said that I would like to know a little bit more about this person that we were going to be somewhat accepting.
Mhm.
I have to say that I do know Louis. I've known him for several years. He has a family in our town. He has 3 young kids. I hope I'm allowed to tell everybody. But, he works, he lives in our town, obviously, and, he works pretty local. So, so I know a little bit about Louis, so I would feel better about that.
Okay. David, how do you feel?
Well, as you said, he's a young person from town. He's got children. He works actually at a local school district, which gives him knowledge about what goes on in town. The only thing that would make me hesitant at all, and it's not for any other reason than because people brought it up before, he's also a member of the fire company, and I don't want that to hang over us all. He's a 20-year member of the fire company, so he's proven that he's interested in Ankrum and wants what's good for Ankrum. And I will say, and it's part of the reason I said what I said, I did not suggest Louis. This suggestion was Colleen's,
It was.
and I'm not going any farther than that.
It was my suggestion, and I had been thinking about this and trying to rack my brain to find someone young. If we couldn't come to a consensus with Bonnie, who I trust Bonnie, I work well with Bonnie. So, I also felt strongly that she was the next highest vote getter, and that was the fairest thing to do. But, the vote did not go that way. So we're looking at alternatives. And knowing Louis and knowing his impartiality, his dedication to the town and the community, the fact that he also has young children in the community, he is works in the school district, as David said. I do feel, and I've known Louis for many years. Gosh knows how many years I've known Louis. So, and he's not related to us, which is a nice thing. I'm going to say that too.
He is a Slater.
His family has been here forever, but he's not related to us. And I've seen, and one thing I will say is I've seen him go ahead and not agree with us. You know what I mean? Like, he has the ability to have his own mind and his own decision making. And I've seen that on many terms and many times. And he's also an officer, so he has the ability to kind of really look at things very, very well. Amy, do you have any comments or any suggestions you might want to make? I think you froze first there.
I'm sorry. Am I there?
You're there now. We can hear you. You're
Yeah.
frozen on the screen, but we can hear you.
Can you hear? I feel like Godzilla up there, looming over everybody. I would like to, before I'm asked to make a decision on this matter, I'd like to know motions, hear from everybody that runs for office, what they stand for. Um, and I think I would, his positions on environmental issues, his positions on housing. I doubt him or anything about him to make this decision.
Okay, so why don't we then schedule the special meeting? We have told you what we know of Lewis, and then when you're back, when are you going to be back, Amy? Roughly. When- Rose again.
I'm sorry?
What I think would then, if you are uncomfortable, and I really feel like we all have to be
Were you
comfortable.
talking?
Oop.
Well, I'm not comfortable or uncomfortable. I just don't know any, I mean, this,
Right.
as far as I'm concerned, this name came out of the blue to me tonight, and I'd like to know more about Lewis. I mean, perhaps I can have a phone conversation with him or meet with him, and get to know him a little bit. You all seem to know him. I know. So I would have to abstain on this vote. If it's brought to a vote.
Okay, so you know what, I think because I really want you to feel more comfortable with this as a person of the board, we're gonna reschedule the meeting for just that. We'll do a special meeting and notice it, and then we'll have Lewis come talk with us, and so you get to know him a little bit more. I would feel more comfortable if you feel more comfortable.
How, the 45-day clock runs out on February the 14th. Valentine's Day. So why don't we, today is the 15th, which does a Thursday night work the best for everybody? Amy, when will you be back?
I'm coming back and forth. I have to check my calendar. Why don't you just,
Okay, so we'll just.
I keep freezing.
Within the,
It's gonna have to be on her schedule, and
Yeah.
making our deadline
yeah,
is gonna be the factor.
Yep.
So she's gonna be the determining thing.
yeah, definitely.
So what we can do is we can do an email chain to see what days work for everybody, including Amy. And then when we have a date in place,
That'll give you.
I
some
will
time.
publicize it and we will send it around on Anchor.
well, why don't,
You keep cutting out, so we're only hearing
Okay,
little
I'm
bit pieces.
sorry.
Sorry,
It's fine.
yeah.
If you send what you want to say in the chat, I can read it out loud to the board.
Melvin said if you put it in the chat, he
Yeah.
can read it.
Okay.
Oh, God. That would take me forever.
If anyone in the room is using the Wi-Fi on a cellular device or a tablet or something like that, if you turn off the Wi-Fi on that, that may help us have a better connection until we can resolve it further.
Okay. So, all right, why don't we just
So
do,
what I was saying is, why don't you allow me to have a conversation,
shut my mouth.
to have a one-on-one conversation with Lewis?
Sure. I think that would be a great idea.
Can we give Lewis your cell phone number, Amy? Are you okay with that?
I'll work on getting them together.
Yes, that's fine.
I'll work
Okay,
on getting
that's
you
up-
guys together.
yeah.
You can talk with him. Okay, so we'll move on then to number 5, which is the deputy supervisor appointment. And I am choosing Bonnie Hunt as my deputy supervisor. Okay,
Even though the whole Democratic committee was against it in 2024, having somebody that's not on the town board,
I know,
you believe this is how we're gonna work together for the year? Somebody that's been defeated the last two elections by the majority of voters in the town?
I'd like to give it a try. If
Okay,
it does
that's-
not work, then I can reappoint.
Well, we'll see.
Okay, any public comments? Yes, Bob, come on up. Oh, okay, come on up. That's fine.
I kind of didn't know what was happening because it seemed like both the Democrats and the Republican parties asked everybody to get out and vote. They did. Over 300 people voted for Bonnie.
Mhm.
So she was the next highest vote getter. If there's a vacancy, it seems like lie on mathematics and not on politics. 300 some people voted for Bonnie, but because David doesn't like Bonnie or Jen doesn't like Bonnie, Bonnie doesn't get in. That doesn't make sense to me. It seems like the obvious thing is who is the next vote getter? If it was Rick Dupre, it should be Rick Dupre. It was Bonnie. Well, it's already devolved into politics when it should be just mathematics. She got the next most votes.
Thank you, Bob. And the
That's
reason,
not what it says in in the Association of Towns law book, though. It tells you how to fill vacancies, and that's not how you fill it with the next highest vote getter.
that seems like the most reasonable way, and that's part of the reason why I chose Bonnie as my deputy, because she did get over 300 votes. So yes, Jack, come on up to this. Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't work, though, because
It
we've
does
had-
because
Wait,
wait for
David,
what I'm gonna
David,
say, David.
Speak,
Okay.
and then
Just
you can
wait for what
talk,
I'm gonna say. No?
please.
The one thing that I would suggest that a lot of small towns have done is when again, this isn't a problem. It happens in a small town that there's close family relationships and cousins and all that. And so this isn't anything wrong that's happened.
Right.
Okay? But you guys need to figure out a way to boost public confidence now that it's happened. Okay? So if you don't do anything else, if you stay with 4 people, whatever that we want to do, please look at making a local law that will prescribe what you do when it happens again. You know, how you appoint somebody when there's, I guarantee you, if the election had happened and God forbid one of you had died or whatever between the election and when you were appointed, it would have made more sense for a lot of people that don't think it makes sense to appoint the next vote getter. So I don't understand, and I'll just say this, I don't want to be partisan, but the Republican Committee for Ancrum put out a thing after the election that was brilliant. It said, congratulations to everybody that has served, congratulations, thank you to the people that ran. And it says, we respect the voters' decision. So I'm just asking you to do that. Thanks.
Thank you, Jack. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, this is Libby McKee. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and so I'd just like to make an observation. 2 names have been brought forward as candidates, is Lewis and Bonnie. And rather than making a hasty decision now, I think you need to think this through and get together and best serve the town.
Thank you, Libby. Sure. Lynn, are you still hearing us or want to make a comment?
Here. Okay, sorry, I couldn't figure out how to. It strikes me that you want to do, there already is a legal process in that yep.
We're still here. I
Is
turned
there
the camera
audio
off so we
or-
can hear you better.
Okay.
You can
All
keep
right, I
talking.
can't. Yeah. Okay, I'm just, I think there's already a legal process here and that kind of just militates that there be a few months of, a 4-member board. There already is a legal process, so I don't think a committee needs to be devised in order to, create some new process, because then you'd have to just pass a law for that, to override the old law. So just comply with the old law. Seems to me that it's more improper to have, a group of people just selecting rather than electing a town board member out of the blue that is not permitted under the existing law. So that would be my comment.
So Colleen, I have a thought. Can I be heard? Am I being
Yes, Amy.
heard? Since there wasn't a public notice that we're looking for candidates to fill the seat for the 1-year period, shouldn't we ask if anybody else is interested and then consider everybody that's interested?
We can do that.
I know Rick DeBrey is definitely interested. He'll do it.
Okay.
We're having technical difficulties with that.
Yep.
One way to solve that is to shut down the modem and restart it again, which means adjourning the meeting and then restart outside.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. Is that something?
I think so. How many people are on Zoom? Okay, so, all right. So what we'll do then, we're having technical difficulties with Zoom. So what we're going to do is restart the modem, which involves us adjourning temporarily while the modem restarts and we get back up and going. So, motion to adjourn? Okay, 5 minutes then. Yeah, we'll try that.
So for everyone on Zoom, the meeting will end on Zoom due to these technical difficulties. We have to restart our internet router. If you just try joining back in the meeting between 8 o'clock and 8:05, we plan to resume at 8:05. Unfortunately, you will have to be removed for this fix to take place. So we'll see you back in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Good.
On, but now it is. Oh,
Okay.
what's happening there? So, our Zoom is back up and running. Guess we're ready. Good. I think we're at public. So, anyone come on up to the microphone?
I can't hear.
It's a bad.
I think there's a problem with the sound.
Yeah.
But it is.
All right. I guess. Just speak loudly.
Well, I don't know if this comment on. Hundred signatures tomorrow afternoon. Like I said, it's not a personal attack, it's politics. Always over and over. Anybody else? Like the side always played and held it, had followers. Why you got so much division? Never had that one. Years I've been here. Like,
No sound.
didn't have that.
Here you go. But 95% of the problems came from why would you bring her back? On the election time, her own party. Several people already had no choice for where to live. Had to have a chance to
Have the next highest, and I work very well myself with her, and I have to be the one that is always very responsive. Questions I've had, or the things that when we're working together, I've never had a problem with. I am also, as I said, if it does not work out, not something has to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, you have to. I did. The votes, look at the votes. I believe there were 13 votes difference. Not that, that's not a lot.
when Jen said, well, she know who you're talking about, would like to know more information. So you chose annual, and it well. Now, because three of you noticed, one doesn't, you're not going to vote. How come? Amy doesn't know him? That doesn't make sense. And didn't know the previous.
And knew Bonnie.
Other person never mentioned person and said she didn't put it that was taken for your seat.
When we said Bonnie, I think knew her enough to be able to that, whereas Amy is saying she has never met Lewis. Like, to at least let her move.
I mean, if I don't know Lewis, I'm sure there are other people that don't know Lewis. I mean, I would like to hear from Lewis himself, what his interests are.
That's why we're going to adjourn to allow her to meet.
But I think the town deserves to know about Lewis. The town got to vote for the town board. The townspeople need to know more about Lewis if he's going to be appointed to the town board.
That's a problem. do not see. Thank you. Okay, that's fine, Melvin. Amy, go ahead. Yeah, we just want to keep moving. We're gonna,
Yeah, the sound keeps cutting in and out for me.
Amy?
Yes,
Okay, there we go.
what were you asking me? Did you want me to repeat what I was saying?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just saying, you threw Lewis's name out today. Um, it was a complete surprise to me. If I don't know Lewis, I'm sure there are other people who don't know Lewis, and the town deserves to know more about Lewis. Maybe Lewis would like to stand up and introduce himself. I don't even know Lewis's last name. Maybe he would like to stand up and introduce himself to the town, what his qualifications are, what his interests are. I mean, I don't think it's fair to just appoint somebody that 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 the town is not familiar with, or that many members of the town are not familiar with.
Yeah, I think it would be better just to schedule a special meeting for this and handle it in that. That is the only thing to discuss. And then we can move on for it. So that will time to speak to Lewis one-on-one. You can maybe ask him a question. And then you'll go ahead and do a separate. Okay. All right. This is like the last comment, so we can on. Elspeth. All right, make it very quick, like a minute. Yes, that is true. Right. Okay, I'm gonna move on from public comment. We'll. That's driving me crazy. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna have another public comment period, so she can always talk to you. That's fine, Melvin. Thank you. I'm just gonna move on to the supervisor's report. At the January 2nd organizational meeting of the Board of Supervisors at the county, we actually filled a vacant lay coroner position. And some of you may know him. It's Peter Doty. He's going to fill in as the lay coroner for the rest of the year, in which another one will be elected. And there were two really good candidates. Both had strengths in different areas. But given Peter's experience, over 30 years of experience in EMS and working at Community Rescue Squad, they decided to go with him as the lay coroner. I've just found out that I am on the Public Safety and Public Works committees, and I'll be meeting with those committees on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. on the third Tuesday and Wednesday of every month. And I actually received a county waste survey, which is very interesting because I've had quite a few people come in and stop and talk to me about the Gallatin station being closed and how annoying that is for everyone. And so I'm eager to find out how they came about that decision and if there are other alternatives that could be a little bit more equitable for people than having a big chunk of time where we have our Gallatin substation shut down. So hopefully next week I will find out a little more about that. And last month, Amy had asked about a pilot transportation project that both Copake and Hillsdale were potentially looking at doing, and asked Ancrum to come in and as be part of that collaboration. And after meeting with the grant writer from Copake, we all decided that it probably would not be a good idea to do that this year. Both Copake and Hillsdale are submitting grants for the same pot of money. So it would be highly unlikely if there were 3 different projects in one area for us to go ahead and do that. It wouldn't make sense. So we're going to put that on the back burner for now. And that's all I have for the supervisor's report. Highway, Mr. Miller. Shout. No, just kidding. Thanks, Jim. Monica, clerk report.
So I'm going to make this quick. So I've started collecting taxes. My total warrant is around 3.4 million I will collect. So far to date today, I've collected 25% of that. So it's coming in quite quickly. On the town clerk side, so far I have sold approximately 39 recycling permits. And I've done 20 certified death certificates, not 20 people. It was 2 people, 10 copies each. So I collected quite a bit this month. And then as far as the assessment department, continue to send in your ag exemption renewals. And if you got a senior renewal from us, that's the one that where you're under a certain income, those come back to us. So if you receive that in the mail, make sure you get them into us before March 1st. And Renee is only accepting them if you have all the pieces to the puzzle, because it's very hard when bits and pieces come in and we don't have everything. And I think that's it.
Okay. Any public comments? Anybody on Zoom, Melvin? Okay, go ahead. I'm thinking maybe, Lynn, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay,
There you
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. I rise to ask a question. Why are there so many committees in Ancrum with its population of less than 1,500? And why so many committee members? Do these standing committees even meet? And if so, what do they do? Half of Ancrum seems to be on a committee. A committee is usually a tool, not for activist networking, but assigned by a legislature as experts to research and report back to the legislative body about a particular proposed change to a law that actual facts on the ground conclusively show to be necessary, and that the legislature, at least preliminarily, wants to pursue slowly and carefully, because law is supposed to be stable and unchanging. The Zoning Revisions Committee is one of these questionable Ancrum committees. I was just summarily booted off of it, according to Chairman Carol Falkoff, because the women on it don't like my point of view. My point of view is libertarian conservative. Nor do the women on this committee value my expertise, which is legal and environmental. My JD was from the University of Chicago Law School and my BA from the College of the University of Chicago. This group of women want to impose a literal tyranny of rules. They want town permits and site plan requirements and expensive consultants for a landowner to do anything whatsoever on their land. That might be fine for the wealthy, but it's crushingly exclusionary to the lower to middle classes. To the minds of these women on this committee, you'll need a town permit to rent a pod or container to put your basement clutter into for more than a few months, a permit to do septic work, a permit to put a pond into your backyard. All of this is ridiculous. There are existing rules of so-called law in Ancrum now that require you to paint your house only in earth tones, that ban mansard roofs, such as on barns and in half of Armenia. This tiny, depressed agricultural town, which badly needs industry and development and affordable housing, has absolutely no need for over 300 pages of so-called zoning laws. These were recently implemented in 2014 for the first time since 1972, and then churning away, have been revised in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023, like some kind of corporate terms of service agreement or HOA. Ironically, therefore, I agree with the Zoning Revisions Committee that this blob does now need to be revised, but in the opposite direction than they. I believe that it is all massively overbearing and largely unnecessary. They want a tyranny that in effect makes the Ancrum Planning Board the real owner of everyone's land, able to dictate literally anything and everything you ever do on it, and condition all your permits on various exactions. I think all of this should be reversed and this law reduced to maybe 30 pages, not 300 plus. Most of these laws aren't even zoning per se. Zoning is just meant to broadly avoid uses like factories that generate a lot of traffic or other nuisance factors from being located inappropriately next to, say, areas with mostly single-family homes. This law is a clutter of intrusive, oppressive, often arbitrary rules. The rules these women devise on this destructive committee are merely guideline types of suggestions, notions that ought to be waivable if they don't fit the facts. That kind of rule isn't the kind of rule that law is supposed to be. You cannot make a rule about everything, and you shouldn't want to. It is extremely unwise because it is bound to bring all development in the region to a halt. It is also fundamentally a misunderstanding of what law even is. Law must respect individual property owners' rights and their autonomy. I only have a couple of paragraphs left.
All right.
Should the town board be so unwise as to adopt the terrible suggestions by this committee, which is a kind of juggernaut for the creation of bad rules, the result will be that you will have a lot of rules that are unenforceable. Law enforcement is expensive. Ancrum cannot run a police state to go around enforcing hundreds of pages of rules on everybody. What that then means is that any enforcement will be selective, meaning politicized, aimed at disliked individuals in violation of the really sacred rule of equal protection. The only zoning revisions that should occur in this town should be to deconstruct this law down to its essentials. The only people qualified to do this really are lawyers trained in respect for individual property owners' rights, not busybodies eager to meddle in everybody's personal affairs. So that's my statement.
Thank you, Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The. Okay. Whew. Okay, so moving on, Councilwoman Boyce, do you have any comments?
I can't follow that.
Sure you can.
So I went to training at NIAT up in Albany yesterday, and it was very interesting. They brushed on a lot of topics. There was a lot of material, and the only thing that I kept saying is, thank God for Monica. There were so many rules. Some things have to be put in the paper for 7 days, not including weekends. The other ones for 5 days, including weekends. And the only thing I must have said it about 10 times in my head is, thank God for Monica. We're really lucky to have her. And I really appreciate you, especially after going through this training.
Thanks, Jen. Councilwoman Gold.
Yeah, two topics I want to touch on tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, the first is the web revision. The web team has reviewed all three proposals from the web vendors, and we have eliminated one. They've been notified that they're no longer in the running. We've also agreed that on one of the vendors as the preferred vendor. However, there remain a few open questions, and we're now reviewing their response to these questions. Once the evaluation is complete, if we're happy with their response and the price negotiations, I'm sorry, if we're happy with their response, yes, and the price negotiations, the web committee will propose this particular company to the town board and begin the migration. This will happen hopefully at the February meeting. If we're not happy with their responses, we will reach out again to the third company and see if they can meet our needs. Considerations are price, design, technical support, time frame for completion, ease of use, etc. There are a lot of back-end issues that I don't frankly understand, but fortunately we have members on the team that do. So I trust that their review of these technical matters will be comprehensive. The other issue is regarding a senior event. I reached out to Madeline Israel, as she is our town representative to the Columbia County Office of the Aging, to enlist her help in the planning of a late spring or summertime event for seniors to be held either under the pavilion or in town hall. Monica and I have been talking about hosting an educational event in Ankrum to introduce our senior population to the services offered by Columbia County, the Columbia County Office for the Aging. You may recall last year, a representative from the office came and spoke at our town board meeting and really opened our eyes to the wonderful and vast resources that are available. But despite multiple attempts by Monica to contact them in regards to an event last year, we were unable to secure a commitment from them. So we're hoping to be able to start early this year and get something on the book.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Amy, you're frozen. I don't know if she can hear me. Can you hear me, Amy? I think I'm frozen too. I just don't move much. Okay. I know, I was just gonna just call her on the phone and just do it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Daddy messed it up. Then who puts all that info into the web?
So our our committee, yeah, so
Expert is here.
our committee, one of our committee members is here, and he's one of the ones that does the back end.
What do you, I'm sorry, what do you?
My question is, to the website. And my question is, once it gets set up, we have this beautiful website, that's what it's all about. Who puts in all the information? Are they doing it, or we have to find, is that you?
Okay, so, as it works right now, when, any files and documents need to come into and be put on the website for everybody to get. For everybody to get, notified about them, it's basically, right now, I'm doing it. Hopefully, in this new website, it will be searchable, number one, which was the number one concern for the community. And, you should be able to type in, I'm looking for a dog license. Where do I go? What do I do? How much, et cetera. And then the back end, which is what Monica and the building department, the planning board and whatnot will have access to, will be, that's the area where the information goes. They will be able to put it up there to their respective places. All the information that we have gathered on the website, in the town server and everything will be migrated to the new website. And that's what is going to be done by the new people who are going to give us the service, give us the website service.
Like Monica and the building department and you are going to be filling in the information that we need to know throughout the whole year after the website is set up and running.
Correct.
That's the plan.
Great.
They're going to give us classes.
Yeah, yeah, they will have tech support and they will have training sessions. That's one of the requirements that we had so that anybody new who comes in, like if you get a deputy clerk, they can,
He left.
they can transfer, they can train them as well. So, that's part of the requirements that we had for this.
And we're looking at different things, not to hold everybody up, but we're looking at things for the community, a community calendar. If you want to use this room, you'd be able to sign up for it through that. We'd get notification. Things like an emergency banner. If there's going to be a tornado coming, there will be an emergency banner across our website. Not that you'd be able to see that in a tornado, but there's different options that are available to us. So those are all being looked at. And we, as Amy said, we have some great people. Islin is really done a lot of work on this and she's done fabulous and we're in really good hands as a town. So hopefully this is all gonna progress and you'll get lots of notification about it.
Councilman Boyce.
Number one, our town emails, and I'm gonna use expletives that everybody is okay with. It's still really terrible, and it just is, it's unbelievable how bad our email system is for town councilmen. I have some other expletives, but I won't use those here. Number two, I would like to read you a section on vacancies on the town board from the town law book. There is a section on resignations, and then there's another section that says how vacancies occur. And I don't think you want me to read about the death of an incumbent, resignations, removals from office, or convictions of a felony, or an entry in judgment in court, or a refusal or to neglect to file official oaths or any of those things. So I'm gonna go on. I'm not using that because everybody sounds bad. I'll talk. There's nothing in the room. They can all hear me. Well, I can't hear them either. We're working on it. Yep. Okay. So it goes on and it says, additionally, certain other acts will also create vacancies. For example, courts have held that there were two candidates for the same elected office received the same number of votes in an election, and a tie vote created a vacancy upon the commencement of the term of office for which the election was held. Additionally, if a town officer accepts an office that is incompatible with the office he or she held, the acceptance of such a second office, running for town supervisor, The acceptance of such a second office creates a vacancy in the office already held. B, the authority to fill. Under town law, it authorizes town boards to fill vacancies in town offices. However, if the town board does not have the authority to fill the position in the first instance, they do not have the authority to fill the vacancy. For example, if the deputy town clerk position is vacant, the town clerk has the authority to fill that vacancy. Same thing for the deputy town supervisor. Only the town supervisor has the authority to fill that. Qualifications. A person appointed to fill the vacancy must possess the same qualifications for the office as the original electee or appointee. D, the length of appointment. If the vacancy exists in an appointed office, the appointment is for the remainder of the unexpired term. Number 2, the elected office. This depends on when the vacancy in the elected office took place and how much time is left on the term of office. Vacancies before September 20th. If the vacancy occurs before September 20th, the person appointed to that position will serve until the end of the calendar year, and there should be an election in November to fill out the remainder of the term. So if Colleen had decided before September 20th that she would resign, we could have had a third person on the ballot in November and they would have filled out the rest of her term, but that did not happen. It says, for example, if a town board member resigns on June 30th, talks about this to run for another position, the election will be to fill that position and they would serve until December of 2015. And in November, there would be an election and the person that gets elected would fill that position if we appointed somebody. And then it talks about vacancies after September 20th, which this one is. A vacancy after September 20th. If the vacancy occurs after September 20th, the person appointed to that position will serve for slightly more than a year until the end of the next calendar year, which means if we appoint somebody right now, they will serve till January 30 or December 31st of next year, and we will still have an election in November to fill the last year of Colleen's seat. For example, if the town board member resigns after October 30th, and it goes on, you serve until the end of the year, just as I just said. It says there should be an election to elect an individual to fill out the remainder of the term, which in this example would be 1 year. The theory being that the public does not have enough time to learn about the candidates before a November election. So even if we appoint somebody right now, there's going to be another election in November to fill this term. Nowhere does it say you appoint the person that got the third most votes in the last election. That's nowhere in the law. It talks about special elections, talks about removal from office, but that is not a given statement. I have been involved in the town board before, and I have seen points in time where the chairman of the Board of Ethics stands up and makes a comment, and he says, I'm not doing this as the ethics guy, I'm just doing this as a concerned citizen. Every time the newspaper says in the headline, the ethics chairman says, and it always happens. That's how it goes. But all in all, I would like to apologize to Mr. Slater because I took Supervisor Lutz at her word that we wanted to appoint someone tonight. We wanted a different person for the committee and we would go on. I'm sorry for dragging you into this whole big issue because I can't believe this is good. Nothing about the town board is really good anymore, if you ask me. And I guess that's all my comments as a councilman right this minute.
Thank you, David. Okay, any public comment?
I wanted to make is this working or not?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment about the comments that we just heard from Lynn Shu. I happen to sit on that ZRC committee and I happen to agree with a lot of her opinions. The fact that we're having discussions about what color people can paint their houses is ridiculous. And I hope that when those ZRC recommendations come before the board, you give some real consideration as to why are we, instead of revising the law, adding law after law after law. But that's not really my point that I wanted to make. I'm kind of outraged at her approach because I'm one of 7 members who's a male. And it really frosts me to hear a member of the community say these women, or these Republicans, or these Democrats. That is not the way this town should be behaving. We should be judging people on their individual contributions and points of view and not putting them in a bucket. And I'm really unhappy that the board, somebody in the board didn't say something to Lynn that we should not be judging people based upon some pool that they're in. Like 3 times she said, these women. My wife would kill me when I get home if I didn't say something about that. And I think there's an appropriate way for us to voice our opinions. And while I agree with her underlying point of view, I completely disagree with the approach that she took. And that's not the way we should be talking to each other.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, old business. I don't have much to report on the solar panels or EV charger. I've been a little busy getting kind of used to what's going on, so I haven't had a lot of chance to work on that. So I guess we'll just table that for now. Let's see, let's move on to new business. So I've got a few things on here. I've been talking a lot with Monica and also our accountant and the FAC. We had a very long discussion about our escrow account policy or law that we have on the books. And I think it's time we need to revise it. There's some serious issues with it, especially with how we'll call it the responsibility for who is taking in the checks and who is allocating them to the proper escrow accounts. And right now it reads that Monica does that, and that does not work. It is not appropriate for her to be part of that. So in the book, yes, exactly. Our accountant actually agrees with that very strongly. So we're going to need to revise it. And I put it in your packets so you can take a look at it. I think it was from 2004. And there are just some functional issues with it. It doesn't work for how we do business with the planning and zoning boards and how we collect escrow. So perhaps you guys can take a look at it, see if you have any revisions that you see immediately in it. And we'll talk to Elena about it and have her look at it and see, if our revisions are appropriate. And we'll go from there. I also had a couple of people come in and talk to me about, I put it as economic development. Sorry, Lynn, it's another committee, but having an economic development committee that would work with some of the local smaller businesses to kind of work together and try to, get people here, get businesses here, small businesses, not like big, huge things, and kind of create almost like a network for the small businesses in the town. So I guess if anyone is interested in potentially doing that, I will not be able to lead it, but I can help support whatever would want to do for that. So we can talk more about that. And this is not something that would happen immediately, but something that has come up multiple times for people that have expressed an interest in that. Monica and I we were sitting down the other day and talking about the 250-year celebration and what we could do in the town. And Monica, do you have any thoughts or comments about what
I would like to get as much input from the community as possible. Some things that I've kind of thought of. One of them, I thought it would be nice to have maybe a seminar on how to do your family tree, seeing how it's the 250th anniversary. Maybe get some people out, some ladies out from the DAR, and have kind of show you where your resources are and how to research your family tree. Possibly doing a potluck picnic, a community picnic here. Another thing that we thought about was putting out some of our historical items that you could come and look at. And I also came up with today, I thought maybe we could do a benefit softball game. Maybe people that work and volunteer for the town against maybe the fire department or the men at the mill or, something like that. And have it benefit maybe our kids camp and our pool. So, I mean, those are some of the things that I've thought of. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening throughout Columbia County and throughout the country. But, my mother's laughing because I've never played baseball in my life. I was a cheerleader. That's it.
Yeah, so we'll probably discuss that more at our workshop next month and maybe set a committee. And so if anyone's interested in working on that, you can contact me or Monica, and we could go from there. Court online payment systems.
So the court,
Yeah.
to make this as concise as possible. So the court, we have 2 new clerks. They have been working with the Gallatin court clerk. She does online payment for tickets. So they're interested in that. And it's something that's done through the court system. It's not something that us as the town have to come up with whole cloth. So they they talked to Colleen. It's $198 to set it up on the computer. And then there's a $50 charge per month for the subscription, but that will be made back in court fees. So they are asking for the town board to approve that for them. They feel that it will make them function. If you have a traffic ticket and you got that traffic ticket and you just want to pay it and the fine has been made, you could now pay for it online. So we
yeah.
did it as a resolution
a
because
resolution.
it's dispersing money.
Right. Okay, can I borrow your? Yeah. Do you want to do it at the end? We'll do it at the end. And the other thing that we need to start looking into is our phone system. Our phone system is extremely old. It does not function. If any of you have called, it's, I can't even access my voicemails or anything.
And apparently I've been on vacation since August.
Yeah, so we're going to have to start doing an upgrade for the phone system. So again, that will be on our workshop to start looking at that. And I know, Mike, you know about this, and I know Phil knows about it too. So we'll be doing that. And the last thing on new business is planning and zoning software. I'm looking into this. Sarah has expressed to me that the planning and zoning software is just not working well for in her office. So I'm going to explore that a little bit more and see what's not working, because we used to have a system that was integrated. And so we need to figure out what's going on there. So Mike, I may pull you in on that as well. The software, I think, was, according to the records we could find, was 2019. So it's getting older, but there used to be an integration between the assessor's office and both the building department and the planning and zoning office. So because the tax numbers are coming from the assessor's office, and that's how everything's supposed to be meshed together, is that way. So it was about 2019 that they did an update in the software. So yeah, it's getting a little bit older. So we're going to have to start looking into that. Okay. Any public comments? Okay. Okay. Did Steve leave? He did. Okay. Yeah. Lynn, did you want to speak?
I would like to point out to Steve that I am a woman. The point was to make, not that there was a woman, but there is a faction of women who are very insistent on this HOA style of constant churning out of rules and regulations as though there were an administrative agency in charge. There's no administrative agency. And we just cannot approach law that way. It's really irresponsible. Luckily, the town board has the ability to cancel out some of this excess. And I do hope that it is able to do so, because this is something that's going on all across the country. It's adding huge costs to development everywhere, and it has to stop. It's a very bad and national problem. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do you want to see if she can unmute her? Okay. Libby, if you want to speak.
Yeah, I saw that your hand was going up and down, so I just wanted to confirm.
Okay.
Along the lines of what Lynn just had to say,
Mhm.
I spoke to Dennis Sigler, as you know, he.
Okay.
Displeasure.
I don't know if I have the floor or not. I don't know if you can hear me.
Go ahead, Libby.
Okay, and so I did have a comment about the solar panels, but my computer died, so I didn't hear what you said. But I do have some very specific ideas and suggestions concerning the solar panels. And if I can speak about this another time, I don't want to take up more time for this particular meeting. But if I can speak to those of you who were on the committee for the solar panels, I think I might be able to add some common sense to the whole point of, investing in solar panels. I personally had solar panels installed on our home, but I also added the power walls, which means that we do store the energy. But rather than my trying to make my point right now, shall I send a letter to you, Colleen, and
Yes.
explain to you just exactly what I might be able to help you with?
Yeah, absolutely, Libby. That would be great.
Okay.
I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I'll do that then. Thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so
My comment was.
David.
I talked to, Dennis Sigler. He talked to me a little bit, about his desire to not be on the zoning revisions committee. He said if the changes they're talking about now come in front of the town board, he's gonna have some comments and want to speak to us. He spoke to me about one specific comment. He says they're trying to make it so that that you can't build a pond on your property and use natural water. And I looked at him and I said, well, what kind of water are you talking about? And he said, well, you can't use a pond or a stream or a spring or anything. He said, they don't want you to use natural water sources. And I said, well, then what kind of water is there? And he says, well, he says, it sounds to me like they're talking about pools to me. He says, kind of like in the Beverly Hillbillies, it's a cement pond, but he says, they don't want you using natural sources. If that, as I said, Dennis Sigler's been involved in our stuff for 40 years. And he comes to you and says, this is crazy. What are we doing? You kind of got to take that into account and figure out maybe something's a little crazy and what are we doing?
Thanks, David. Okay, yeah, let's do resolution number 9 of 2026. This is for the online court payment.
I make a motion.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion to enter into executive session for, oh. I was gonna read the. Did we enter into executive session yet? Okay, then go ahead. Come on up. Yeah.
It's good as that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go.
Has anything come about my request on the specs, stipulations for the building, the pavilion?
The only thing that I can think of would be something that would be at Dee Dee Barrett's office.
Yeah, but you should have got that with the packet.
We never got that.
All right, so I need something from you stating you don't have that, or through Monica to me, please. That's all.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I just want to make a motion, or someone can make a motion. I'll read it so you don't have to read the whole
Oh,
thing.
thank you.
To move into executive session to discuss matters related to medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person, corporation, or related appointment, demotion, discipline, or removal of a person, and or about matters that are pending litigation.
Don't know how to turn it off.
A second.
I don't know. I can't tell.
We'll
what
be
it
back.
is.
I'm gonna call. I have her number. Well, I'm gonna. Oh, she is. I put it on my phone. Yeah.